which side do you want? I feel like this is the side.
I'll take this
So I'll
side.
take this side, yeah.
Yeah, I'll take this side. Just remember to like duck as much as you can for them. Oh,
Yeah.
that's it also. And then remember.
Hey, check one, check two.
Far side.
Just 'cause you're under don't mean I'm wrong. Another shoulder to cry upon. I just wanna use your love tonight. Yeah, I don't wanna lose your love tonight. Yeah, I just wanna use your love tonight. I don't wanna lose your love tonight. I just wanna use your love tonight. I don't wanna lose your love tonight. Train roll on down the line. Won't you please take me far away? Now I feel the wind blow outside my door. Means I'm leaving my woman at home. Tuesday's gone with the wind. Oh, my baby's gone with the wind. And I don't know, oh, where I'm going. I just want to be left alone. Well, when this train ends, I'll try again. I'm leaving my woman at home. Well, Tuesday's gone with the wind.
see it. Just glad my feet reach.
All right, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for attending our end-of-season press conference with Giants President of Baseball Operations, Lester Posey, and Giants General Manager Zach Manassian. Just a reminder, if you have a question for either of them, just raise your hand and we will get you a wireless mic. So let's start here with Susan.
Hi, Dr. Zach. Thanks.
Football. There you go.
Hi, guys. Thanks for doing this. Buster, you talked a little bit the other day when you were discussing the situation with the manager about the season being a disappointment. Like in general, where would you say this team is, especially with your needs from next year, based on that?
Yeah, I mean, I thought there was a lot of positives this year. We had some really good streaks of playing baseball. We had some really bad streaks of playing baseball. I think the hope is moving forward that we're just more consistent in those good stretches and that you can minimize some of the downturns a little bit quicker. And yeah, just feel like we took some steps in the right direction, but still a lot of work to do.
Hey, Buster, player by player in the final days and weeks of the season, they were saying, we're better than this record. You guys finished 500. Were you better than a 500 team? I mean, there were 4 relievers missing the final couple of months. You only had 3 starters, really, and now you really only have 3. I mean, the offense was hit and miss. The defense in the outfield was not good. Was this better than a 500 team in your mind, like the player said?
I mean, I think the simplest way that I look at it is the record is the record. That's where we finished. I mean, you could probably make a case that we left some out there. I think any team probably can look back on their season and say that they left some wins out there. Is there, I guess when I think about are we a better team, do I look at some of our players and know that there's more there from them? Yes, absolutely. You mentioned, missing some arms in the pen. That's going to be a focus of ours this winter, is to trying to reinforce the staff, starting pitching and relief pitching. So ultimately, do I believe it's a better team than our record? Yes, I do. We have to go and improve that by our performance.
And you signed up for a 3-year commitment, and we're through year 1. Do you see yourself moving further beyond 27 with this gig? Would you like to see this through? Does it depend on how you guys do on the field?
I'm fully committed, but I am, it's I think the focus has to be on the present. I mean, that's the way I try to look at it. Would I like to do it longer? Sure. But I think the focus has to be in the moment.
Just given that it would have taken a handful of wins to get in the postseason, was there any regret? I don't know if that's the right word, to trading from the bullpen at the deadline, or do you feel like that was more important to your long-term vision for this team?
Yeah, I think we made the best decision with the information we had at the time. The way the team had been playing up until that point, we'd had a pretty consistent stretch of not playing good baseball, and felt like, as we say at the time, there was an opportunity for us to improve organizationally with some players. Would we have liked to have Raj down the stretch? Sure, but we wouldn't have liked to have Raj down the stretch and not have improved the organization if we're still sitting here like we are right now.
Buster, you mentioned the streaks, and there were some pretty wild swings in this season. Were you able to put your finger on what such highs and lows, what was behind that?
No, I mean, I think that's I think there's a lot of different routes you could go. I mean, for me, I think it gets back to one of my answers earlier, is just consistency. John mentioned, outfield play needs to be better. Just defensively overall, we've talked about that what we believe is the recipe to success is great pitching and great defense, so we know we need to be better there. I do think when that's your formula, it a lot of times can eliminate some of those tough stretches, can help not eliminate them, but help you get out of them a little bit quicker. But I don't think there's one thing you can necessarily point to. It's more just overall being more consistent and just more productive.
Buster, you've always said the coaching staff was up to Bob. Does that change at all now that you have a manager search? And also, can you speak specifically to your hitting coach and your pitching coach and what their status is?
Yeah, no, I think I think going forward, it's similar mindset that we want whoever the next manager is to have agency in the decision. I do think there'll be more input, especially with having gone through this a year now and gathering different information. And the way what we've relayed to our coaches is that just that, like that there will be agency for the new manager that will place a recommendation with the manager, but ultimately, they're free to look at other opportunities as well.
Buster, in spring training, there was a lot of talk about a lot of the young arms in this organization, and as some of the injuries piled up, as the trades piled up, you saw some of the growing pains that they had to deal with, especially as the team was playing meaningful games down the stretch. How do you evaluate, or how do you look at the young arms that you do have in this organization, but also knowing that when you do get to meaningful games in August, in September, that they may not have the experience, in those situations, and how does that evaluate who you might go after as far as starting pitching specifically?
Yeah, I somewhat alluded to it before. I think it's up to us to try to add some pieces that do create more depth on the pitching side. You're hoping that each year some of these young arms will take a step forward. I think that's something that needs to happen, and we need to be better at next year. So I guess to answer your question about how it impacts the way we think about the off season is, as I said before, we're most definitely open to trying to add some arms that we think are going to help us on the starting side and the bullpen side.
Buster, looking at this team right now, if I took your three big money veteran guys off the table, Chapman, Willie, and Devers, of the other 5 fielding spots, second catcher and the 3 outfielder spots, which of those positions do you feel the best about right now, and which of those positions do you feel like you need to evaluate a little bit more going into this offseason?
Well, I think Bailey made some great progress this year. I was impressed with his availability. Number one, he was back there a lot, especially the last couple of months of the season. Schmitty and Koss at second, I felt like did a nice time, and we'll continue to evaluate them. Going into spring training. Ramos, I think, continues to get better. He's obviously one that I certainly believe there's still a lot of room for him to improve his game overall, and I think he knows that. And one thing that I've learned about Ramos, being around him more consistently, is he's an extremely hard worker. He wants to be a complete baseball player, and it's a great starting point when you've got that mentality. Jung-Hoo, it was a really important year for him. It was, I think, a very much a learning year just to be able to navigate an entire major league season, the travel, the intensity of the games, coming off of an injury where he didn't play very much. I thought that he was one of those guys that started off hot, scuffled a little bit, and really played pretty consistent down the stretch. I think Jung-Hoo knows that part of his value is his defense as well, and that's something that will be emphasized going forward. And in right field, we've got some options there, different players internally that we can look at and evaluate. I mean, it's cliche, but we're going to always look at options on ways that we think we can improve the roster.
And then also you guys finished basically 3 games out of what would have been a playoff spot. What gives you optimism that you think this team can take the step next year and make the playoffs? And what do you think are the elements that this team is missing that would put them on par with the teams currently in the playoffs right now?
Optimistic because of, you mentioned Chapman, Devers, Adamas. We believe a really solid group of core veteran players. Optimistic because, as I mentioned before, I think there's a lot of meat on the bone with some of our other players to continue to improve. You're anchored with Webb and Ray, and Roop is in a good spot physically now, and hopefully has a good off season, comes into spring training ready to go. The bullpen, we had some guys that in Pagero who pitched well for us here, and Luke Casey, a nice surprise for us. Gage pitched well. Not to leave any of the other guys out. I think Walker's a guy who could potentially have a bounce back year next year. So, there's a lot of good things in place. But ultimately, we did not achieve our goal this year of competing for a division and getting in the playoffs. And we know things have to be different to get to where we all want to go.
Buster, you have some interesting free agents of your own. Obviously, Verlander, who's a future Hall of Famer, Wilmer Flores, who's been such a key guy for you for 6 years, and Dom Smith, who played so well. Not necessarily clear whether there are spots for them. How do you see those 3?
Well, the way I see those 3 first is that I have a tremendous amount of respect for all of them because they go about things the right way. Flo's a guy I played with, just a pro's pro. Verlander, same thing. I mean, it's so impressive just to watch a guy who's done it for as long as he has nothing left to prove, but you watch him and you're like, this guy looks like he's making his first start every time he's preparing to play. Dom, again, another pro I felt like really stabilized us when he came up. So it's discussions that we'll have throughout the offseason. I'm a big fan of all 3 of those guys.
Have you had any talks with any of them yet?
Haven't.
Buster, I know you said you're not going to go name by name on managers, but the last time you spoke, I think Bruce Bochy was not available. He is now, or he's not going to be the manager anymore. Does he fit the model of something you might be looking for at manager?
Yeah, I talked to Boch a couple days ago and just told him that where we are currently, and I don't even know what Boch's plans are, if he wants to continue to manage or not. The door's always open here for some sort of role. But the way I think things are coming into picture in my mind with where we want to go next, I don't see us going that route with Boch. Obviously, tremendous amount of respect. It's interesting, when I was a player, I didn't consider Boch necessarily a friend, and I don't think that's a bad thing because he had this reverence and respect that he demanded from his players. But now post-playing, consider Boch a friend and somebody that I know I can pick the phone up and call anytime and ask anything from him, and that's where I'm at with it.
Would that be generally about maybe finding out would be here? You can plan to be here for a long term, not maybe somebody who would immediately be the conversation.
I think that plays into it for sure.
Hi, Buster. Hi, Zach. Back to Verlander a little bit. What is there any indication from him that he would like to come back and help get this thing back to winning and contending, and also what can you say about what he does for the clubhouse? Aside from the disappointing record that was, frustrating for him.
Why don't you take that one?
Yeah. No, I can't speak for Buster. I personally haven't talked to him about that. But as far as what he brings, Buster talked about the professionalism, just a ultimate competitor, extremely prepared with the amount of information that's available to our players today. It's actually so much that it can be tough for them to know exactly how to prepare, and this is someone who has it down to a T. So I think the example that he sets for not only younger players, but even players like Logan Webb who have been there and done that as well, I think it was extremely positive. So nothing but good things to say about JV. Yeah, well, I haven't talked to him about it. I don't want to speak for Buster as far as here in particular. I would just say I thought he did a great job for us, and we'll see where free agency goes.
Hi, guys. I know Bryce is having surgery, 8-week recovery. Is the plan for you all to pencil him in as the everyday first baseman a year from now, or just at the beginning of next season?
Go for it. No, I think we'll try and stay open-minded, still go into spring training with the idea of what's best for the Giants and what's best for Bryce. So hopefully for him, the offseason focus is just getting healthy, getting that wrist back to 100%, come to spring training ready to go, and we'll see where it goes, what the options are for us. But I think he did a great job while he was here.
Hi, Buster in the back. Obviously, you've reached great success here. October baseball, you know what it means as a player. What do you envision that will be like when you can get this team back on the field in the role you're in now?
I can't wait. I mean, it was tough to go through the year and not let yourself start to envision what it would be like coming to the ballpark in October and knowing what the feeling would be in the park, the electricity from the crowd, the excitement from the players. That's why we do it. It's the reason we all do this job is for an opportunity to be in that playoff and compete for a championship. And it's what you wake up every day with in mind, and is all these little decisions that have to be made. Ultimately, they're pointing towards getting back there and competing for a championship.
Buster, you touched on this briefly the other day, but the hallmark of the Giants franchise has been stability in both the front office and the managerial position. This is going to be the third manager in a short time. Your role succeeding Farhan. There's been a lot of upheaval. I'm just wondering how much you value stability and how you equate that to a winning organization.
No, I most definitely value stability. I think stability and success are correlated, right? So a lot of times we're in a business of production, and if production doesn't happen, I think you're going to see more turnover. So we both know that as well, that it's our responsibility to create stability through winning, and putting hopefully what's an entertaining product out there on the field that our fans are excited about.
Going back to Bryce, how do you see him and Devers kind of coexisting on the roster next year, especially since it seemed like Devers kind of enjoyed playing first towards the end?
Yeah, I think like Zach said, I think we don't get too far ahead with that one. I thought that Bryce, I was really impressed. I thought he looked good at first. I know he's been working his tail off to improve his defense. I thought Devers got more comfortable at first. It's a good problem to have two guys that you're really excited about that are left-handed power bats. But as Zach mentioned, I think we go in this offseason, Bryce gets healthy, has a great offseason of work, continues to improve, and then we evaluate down the road.
Buster, talking about Boch, I think you mentioned the way you see the picture coming together. Can you kind of expand on how you see that picture coming together? And in terms of your search, I know you don't want to get into specific names, but could it include people who are NCAA coaches?
No, I can't expand on that because I've mentioned that I'm going to keep it tight. So sorry, not going to answer that.
Susan.
Buster, you touched on the bullpen, you touched on the outfield. Do you have plans to target maybe a closer or, say, a right fielder in free agency?
I think we're open. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously places that you can look to and say that there's some room for improvement there. I think we'll first start and look at what we have internally and see if we see a path forward with that before we went that route. But we're open. Yeah.
And how do you see things at backup catcher, especially with Jesus Rodriguez now, getting at least a little bit of time around the team and getting a full spring?
Something that we'll have discussions about throughout the winter. All reports were that Jesus is really solid behind the plate. He does not have a ton of experience behind the plate, but hard worker, great aptitude from what I've been told, and so he's a guy we're excited about. But again, we'll remain open to other options.
Okay, we're going to take a couple more.
If you're not mentioning names, how is the search going? It's only been 48 hours, but have you spoken with people? Do you plan on speaking with people this week?
Yes.
And could you possibly, does an associate manager appeal to you? There's a handful of teams doing that. It seems to be a trend, whether it's a glorified bench coach or whether it's someone being groomed for the next spot. Will Venable had that post under Bochy, and now is in Chicago.
It's interesting. I mean, I think it's, I wouldn't say one way or another that I think it's a great idea or that I don't think it's a great idea. I think, again, you keep your options open for what we think will be the best combination of manager and coaches to move us forward.
And how do you abide by the C-League rule during this process?
By abiding by it. I mean,
how so? I mean, do you throughout the interview process? You mean?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah, guys, you mentioned the dynamic with Devers and Bryce, but also how much you guys really like Dom. Can you envision a roster that has all three, and is there positional flexibility to make that make sense for you guys?
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, there could be. I wouldn't close the door just based on what Dom did here, and he does have a little bit of versatility, having played some outfield as recent as last year. So wouldn't close the door on it, especially given just how well Dom played and how well he fit in the clubhouse.
Buster, you guys were 14th in payroll this year, but you obviously added Devers halfway through the season. What has the ownership group's commitment been to expanding payroll for this offseason?
I think we're lucky to have the ownership group we have. They're committed to like we are, to trying to put a product on the field, a winning group of players on the field. So yeah, they're committed.
Okay, two more. Let's go to Alex.
Zach, could you go through some of the young starting pitchers and maybe how you expect them to fit in next year? A Birdsong, Tidwell, Wisenhunt, some of the guys we saw.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned three of them there: Birdsong, Tidwell, Wisenhunt, McDonald. Even someone like Keaton Wynn, I still consider somewhat young. So how they fit in, I think, remains to be seen. There's obviously some opportunity as we sit here today. We'll see what that looks like in February, but starting pitching can kind of come out of nowhere to some extent. You look at Logan Webb in 2020 and then Logan Webb in 2021 and what he's been. So you just want to keep an open mind. And then I think there's a natural maturation for young pitchers at the big league level of just having to go through some bumps and bruises of pitching at the major league level against hitters like this. So it's a tough job. It's not often that you see young pitchers come up and dominate right away, and it doesn't mean that they can't be very good going forward. So still very excited about those arms, and we're going to continue to challenge them maybe even more and try and set the bar even higher for what that group can do and what we hope they do.
Buster, just kind of wondering, how do you self-evaluate after your first year? I mean, going into this job, there's a lot to learn, a lot of lessons along the way. What are some of the lessons you learned, and what are some of the ways you think you'll be a better executive next year?
Self-evaluate. I mean, I think ultimately self-evaluation it still comes down to production, right? It comes down to whether a team performs and gets into the playoffs and competes for a championship. So that's always the bar in my mind. I guess it has been a year. Yeah, it's been a year. I mean, there's been a lot that I have learned. I have a great group around me. I mean, with Zach and Jeremy Shelley, who's been here forever. I know that and no matter what you're doing, whether if you're a reporter, if you're a baseball player, if you're an executive, there's always room to look in the mirror and say, how can I be better? And I don't think that ever stops. I don't think it stops if you win a championship or you're elevated to a new position. You're always looking to improve and get better. And so that's kind of how I look at when you say self-evaluation. Is I don't think there's ever going to be a time where I say, gosh, I nailed this. I mean, there's always going to be room for improving.
Okay, with that, that will end our end of season press conference. Thank you everyone for coming out.
All right, thanks everybody.
Listen here. Now, that ain't working. That's